Really?
Using Urban's favorite saying, thank you all for coming. Just quickly, I just really want to reiterate what Bernie said and, give my sincere thanks to Urban for what he's done for this athletic program for this university. I watched it with admiration every day as he built this program to what it is today. I saw the efforts, I saw the dedication, I saw the commitment, I saw the competitiveness. Like I said, I watched it with admiration because he came here with a goal and he built it and he did it. And his commitment to UF was unmatched. His commitment to his student athletes was unmatched. And, we had a heck of a ride together. When he and I met in Utah 6 years ago, he spent as much time talking about the environment here as he did about anything else. What kind of environment would be here? And what he wanted was a foxhole environment where we're all in there together, moving towards the same goal. And it was my privilege to be in there, that foxhole with him. It was my staff's privilege to be in there with him. Because he appreciated us being in there with him. He always made it clear that whatever success we had here was not him alone. It was his staff, it was this staff. And he never stopped saying thank you to people. And as much as I treasure the championships, and we had a great run. Heck, we had a great run. We had some great nights in Atlanta. We'd come back off the airplane in Atlanta, and we'd be at his house, just him and me and Nikki, at 3 o'clock in the morning, celebrating with some red wine. And we had some great nights in Glendale. We had a great night in Miami. But more than anything else, I'll remember and I'll treasure forever in his friendship. He and I are joined at the hip in some form or fashion, and we'll always be that way. We'll always be that way. Shelley, Nikki's not here. Gigi, Nate, thank you for sharing your father and your husband with us. Obviously, you guys had a lot of sacrifice to do, but you were with us the whole way. And like I told you in Utah, once Gators, always Gators, and you'll always be part of our family. And we love you to death, just like we love Urban. And so now we turn to the future. This is the third time I've been through this process and understand, of course, the intense interest that it generates, and that's good. It says a lot about Florida. We'll begin immediately to develop candidates. We know the expectations here. We have the same expectations. We know the type of job it is. We know the challenges, and we look forward to moving ahead on that very, very quickly. Just so you know, and I've had this conversation with before, it's hard to comment about searches publicly because they change every single day. Obviously, I cannot respond to every single rumor. Am I getting text messages already that we've already offered the job to somebody and we've already hired somebody? And, that's just stuff because nothing could be further than the truth. We spent all day dealing with our coach and dealing with our internal family and dealing with our players, and that just hasn't happened. Coaching searches, I don't care if it's football, baseball, gymnastics, whatever have you, you got to get in front of them. You need to find out if they're a fit, not just can they coach, but are they a fit for this institution, for this community, for this athletic program. And likewise, are we a fit for them? I just think sometimes people think deals get cut in back rooms, and, it's got to happen face to face. And we're going to do that. And I understand you have a job to do. I'm not railing on that at all. I just want you to understand going forward that we just got a job to do, and to try to comment on that every single day and deal with every single room every day. You can't do your job. But we are going to move as quickly as we can. I think, as we talked about recruiting, certainly recruiting is a factor here, but you're not going to go too fast. You got to hire the right person. I think the job that Urban's left here is, we'll have a large number of candidates. But obviously we're moving forward on that. So the last comment I wanted to make is I made the comment on Billy Donovan left for just a brief time that it was a sad day because something good was ending. And that's kind of how I feel today. Yet also, for me personally, it's an okay day because I know Urban's okay. I know he's at peace with this decision, and I know University of Foley is going to be fine. So, good things come to end sometime, and that's what happens in this world. And we've been blessed for 6 years to have this guy coaching this team, being part of this university, and we'll always be blessed to get that happen. Okay, with that, I'll answer some of your questions for you. Mike?
Jeremy, you say you don't want to move too quickly, but 2 weeks? What is the?
Our first game September something, so certainly by that. Mike, you got people who are coaching. I think we always got to be respectful of that. You want to talk to somebody who's coaching. You got to take that into consideration. But I think 2 weeks, 2.5 weeks, I think would be outside. I don't see any reason why it should take longer than that. I think the last time we were looking for a coach was in the middle of the year, and I think everybody could see why that took so long. But I'm confident we get this done in 2.5 weeks. We got to go, but I think that's realistic.
Jeremy, more specifically, would you wait for a candidate after a January Bowl if you wanted to coach him that long? Or would you demand that he cut in the first, not demand it? rather have him here to recruit?
No. I think when we hired Urban, I mean, he put together a special season, and his team was 12-0, and he deserved to coach that game. He coached the Fiesta Bowl that year, so that would not be an issue for us at all. We will find the right person, but you always want to leave a place in good straits, and you want to leave the right way. And coaching a team that you've coached since August in a January or a important bowl game, we would definitely be respectful of that. Chase?
Do you hold out any hope that he'll change his mind?
No, I don't think this time. And that's what I said earlier. I'm at peace with his decision because he's at peace. And last year that was not the case. This is a totally different situation. His life was in a different place a year ago. Turmoil was evident. But again, my office is next to him, and I've seen how he's been this year, and I've seen the efforts he's put forward in this year. And I know this is not a knee-jerk reaction of being 7-5. Trust me. He's at peace with his life, his family, and what he wants to do. So no, I didn't try to talk him out of it, and I didn't put that pressure on him. He was at peace, and I shared that peace with him.
Have you contacted anybody regarding the job?
I have not contacted anybody.
Jeremy,
Now, of course, according to some emails I've gotten on some websites, that's not true. Trust me, that's true. I'm just saying I have not contacted anybody.
Jeremy, did you try to talk him out of it last year?
The one thing that Dr. Mash and I did last year was try to make him take the leave of absence on the front end. I mean, that was always on the table, and early on, Urban didn't think he could take that leave of absence, and of course, that Sunday, he decided he could. So it was not a matter of trying to talk him out of it, it was just trying to, Urban get away from this, get recharged, do the things that he did. And I tell you, folks, he made a huge effort this past year to fix some of the things that impacted him last December. And worked his tail off on him. I think it changed his life, and I think he's a better person for it, and obviously a better coach for it. But we didn't try to talk him out of it. We just tried to put a scenario in place that allowed him to come back and coach this year.
Jeremy, what discussions did you have with the current assistants, the coaches already on staff, about their future in the room?
They, most of them on the road recruiting. I reached out to every one of them today. Urban talked to them first, and then I called them all. I got some on the phone, some I had to leave voice messages for. I'll meet with them personally when I come back. Certainly when there's a coaching change such as this, there's some turmoil, recruiting turmoil, fan turmoil, player turmoil, and assistant coaches are the same way. They're all protected contractually. They're all under contract for another year. So, and certainly we'll encourage the new coach to interview these people. But, everybody knows that the new coach is going to bring in some of his staff as well. So I'm sure there's some change in the future. But I have not had a chance to sit down and do them face-to-face because they haven't been in town.
Did any of them express interest in the head job?
No, none of them. I mean, I just, like I said, I only talked to a few about voice messages, right? When they get back in, I'm sure if anybody's interested, they'll come and see me.
Pat, over the left.
Okay.
Mike? Jeremy, looking back 11 months later, 11.5 months later, I mean, do you feel like what you guys decided to do with the leave of absence just simply didn't work? Or do you look and say, Urban's healthy, so it didn't?
Oh, I don't have any second guesses about what we did last fall. First of all, you're talking about one of the best coaches in the history of the game. People want to talk about his 7-5 record. Let's look at the body of work. How many coaches have won 2 SEC and NCAA championships, and how many ball games he's won. And to sit here and have one of the best coaches in football, maybe league, without trying to do everything he could. I remember Bernie called me in his office one day. He said, Jeremy, we're going to do everything we can to make this work. But I don't want any second guessing because this is not only a great coach, but he's a quality person and he's a quality individual. So I don't second guess that at all. The best situation we're in is that I think I said then, I still believe Urban Meyer was our coach 20 years from now because he's one of the best. It didn't happen for all the right reasons. I did think it worked because, like I said, he's at peace with his life. He wasn't at peace a year ago. And I think this institution helped him get there. So I think you said it best there. I think it worked because I see who Urban is now, and I think what you just said, you saw the light in his eyes again. And I think that's good. It's good for him. It's good for us.
Mike, over here to the right.
Jeremy, one of the criteria you're looking for is that someone that has to have had head coaching experience and someone that you know. I know that's been a big issue for you before.
Not necessarily. I mean, I think the slate's clean right now. I mean, I said this is a tough job. If you haven't been a head coach, you're going to have to be pretty special. But, certainly Bobby Stoops has never been a head coach, and Kevin O'Sullivan never been one, and Ron DeFan had never been one. There's certainly records. I don't think Chip Kelly has been one. Maybe he had, but certainly not at the level he's at now. So I think, we will get together and we'll compile that list. I think that to shorten at this point in time, Mike, would not make any sense. So, I mean, the slate's open, but in deference to what Mike and I just talked about, Mike Bianchi and I, we've got to get on it, and we'll get on that tomorrow. But me knowing them, and again, I never know Urban Meyer, but I walked in the living room. okay? I mean, there's it, he didn't know me. And so, I mean, it doesn't have to know Jeremy Foley to be part, any of us to be part of this conversation.
Mark, over here in the ring.
What sets him apart from other coaches? I mean, coaches across the country in every sport manage family and football and find a way. Does he maybe get too involved with the football aspect that you know, and you know what I'm trying to say?
Yeah, I do, and again, I know how Bill Donovan loves his family, and I know how a lot of our coaches love their family, but I mean, you know, Urban's made it clear from day one, even when we were talking in Utah for the first time, it was Shelley, and it was Nate, and it was Nicky, and it was Gigi, and, you know, he's worked his tail off the last, you think of what he's rebuilt. He built one at Bowling Green, he built one in Utah, he built one here, so, you know, it's not just sacrifices here the last 6 years. You know, was that 10 years of their lives that, you know, not to mention what he did before that as assistant coach. So I think more than anything else, Mike, it's just, I mean, Mark, you know, I think he said it's his time to step back and spend time with his family because you're not getting it back. You're not getting it back. And I admire him for that. And, you know, at some point everybody will come to that decision. But I think this is the right time in his life. And as he said, and I just said, he's a piece of the decision. And that's what makes it good. Is it an easy one? No. His words to me earlier today, his heart's breaking a little bit, okay? Because he loves his place, he loves his players. But it's also the right time.
Two final questions before we bring the players up. Franz and then David.
Jeremy, when Urban came in yesterday morning, did you have any inkling that this was going to happen? And what was your initial reaction when he said it?
Well, first of all, he made an initial phone call to me on last Saturday. And indicated this is what he was thinking about. I was out of town. And so when I came back in yesterday, I had a couple of days to think about it. And I wasn't totally surprised. Not that he gave me indication during the season that, you know, this wasn't what he wanted to do, because conversely, I know what people say are right. I mean, the guy worked his tail off this year, and nobody's impacted more by losing football games than he did, and grinding and fixing and trying to change him than Urban. But I also knew that, you know, I could see a little bit in his eyes that it might be time, so I wasn't totally surprised. But then we had a great conversation yesterday, and Bernie and I had a great conversation yesterday, and Urban and Bernie had a great conversation, so it's all good. You know, the good part about this, if there is one, except like I said, something sad is that was good is over, and an outstanding coach is no longer going to be our coach. Is that, you know, a lot of times in this business, and I've been part of it, unfortunately, is when you have a coaching change, there's some sort of, it's a divorce and it can get ugly, and it's just, that's not the case here. You have a guy that has the utmost respect of everybody in this room, I would hope, and certainly everybody in the Gator Nation. And that comes back the other way. He respects this university. He loves this university. And so it's as good as it can ever be. And so I'm not totally surprised, but to me it's all good, except you're trying to replace one of the greats, and we'll fly cap to try to make that happen.
Follow that up a little bit. When he tells you, though, as you said, it is a business. But your heart and your stomach kind of sink a little bit, don't they?
Yeah, because it's Christmas time again. He owes me a Christmas vacation from last year. Now he's going to owe me a couple. I know, right? So he'll be home drinking eggnog, and you know, I'm going to be out on an airplane somewhere. But, no, it's not from a you know. This is what I told him. You know, I'll miss him as our football coach. I'll miss the fact I don't get to go to work with him every day. His office is not. You know, he won't be there. And he's been there for 6 years. I've walked in there and we talked about a million different things. Good things, tough things, funny things, but he won't be there anymore, and that's the toughest part about this conversation. But he lives in the same subdivision, so he's not that far away. I will see him again.
We'll wrap it up with David.
Now you've been through this a third time, how much better are you at finding a coach, you think, and what do you look for than you were?
I mean, the first time, and no disrespect, I mean, I didn't know what I was doing, for sure. And I'm not talking about the end result, I'm talking about the interest, the scrutiny, you know, people tracking airplanes, and I had no clue. Right? I think we got a little better at it last time. I think the one thing that, you know, I have a great staff, and I'm going to have some staff people help me on this search. I'm not doing this by myself, but I've been here for 35 years. I know a lot about this place. I talked about culture. I talk about this place. I think about this community. I probably can bring that a little more to the table than I certainly could the first time. When I hired Urban, I knew Urban would be, I can't sit here and tell you I knew he'd hoist up 2 crystal balls, but I hope he could, but I knew he'd be a fit on this campus. I knew he'd be a fit on this community. I knew he'd be a fit in our athletic program, and that's important to us. And so, you know, I hope, David, that I can bring a little more of a sense of that than I did either last time or certainly the first time.
Thank you.
Thank you guys very, very much.
Bob Black and Mike Kowski up here.